Books, 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 books.
Hello and welcome to Didn't Read It, the podcast that is definitely not just propaganda. I am your host, Grace Todd, and with me this week is a recurring bestie of the pod, our terminally online correspondent and good friend, William. Hey, buddy.
Hello. Hi. Thank you so much for having me again.
How you doing?
Great. Fantastic. Online, as always.
Too online.
Uh-huh.
Incredibly online.
Uh-huh.
Are you enjoying the incredibly strange weather we're having today?
Yes. I got absolutely roasted a couple weeks ago when I joked about the weather changing quickly, and my friend sent me 3 pages of, oh my god, it was hot yesterday and now it's cold today. Holy shit, everything changes so fast. It was rainy yesterday and now it's sunny. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't deserve this. He'd been pent up for like 3 years and just unleashed it in response to something I said. It was so sad. But now every time somebody talks about the weather, I think about that.
That hurts.
It was like, oh my god, it was cold yesterday and it's hot today. Wow.
Look, I feel like as humans in the year of our Lord 2026, the weather is one of the last things that is like truly fundamentally like beyond our control, and as such has replaced religion. And it's all like, of course we talk about it constantly, and of course we say stupid things about it constantly because we can't do anything about it. And also, I woke up this morning and it was 73 degrees, and it's supposed to be 35 degrees by 3 o'clock this afternoon. And that's weird.
It's worthy of remark, damn it.
It is.
We're allowed, look, every morning I wake up, I look at the sun, I pray to the sun, praise the sun stance for 15 minutes. And that's my religion.
I feel like everybody has like a misplaced sense of deep loyalty for their preferred weather app, the way that people used to have like different schisms of a religion. It's just like, I'm Weather Underground observant.
The weather app wars will kill millions of people. And
people get like weirdly defensive of it too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least we can all agree the Apple weather app is trash.
I know some people who are, trad Apple weather app observant.
And those of you out there, you're bad and wrong, and we hate you.
Are they like
They're the Irish of weather apps.
I was about to say, are they the Catholics of weather apps, where it's just something you're born into and you've never thought twice about?
I'm losing my thread. There's one group of people that I hate on every time I'm on your podcast, and now I can't remember who it is.
Isn't it the Italians?
It might be the Italians.
Well, boy, have I got news for you.
Oh? Segue?
Because today I've brought you here to talk about an Italian author.
Yeah!
Have you ever heard of Luigi Pirandello?
No.
Well, today I've brought you here to talk about a short story that was written by Luigi Pirandello, set during the First World War, which was sort of towards the latter quarter of his life. And I brought you here to discuss it less because it is Italian specifically, which is not anything against the Italian literary tradition, but because I think that this particular story becomes significantly more interesting sort of through the lens of everything that has transpired since then and from the perspective of 2026 specifically. So this week we're going to be doing a little bit of recontextualizing.
I am so excited to hear about it.
Yeah.
I love to retextualize and recontextualize and textcontualize.
Mm-hmm. Yes, those are words. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Well then, without further ado, this is a story by Luigi Pirandello called War. And
Simple, effective.
Yes. And it's so short that we're probably going to wind up reading most of it.
Oh. Stone in.
The passengers who had left Rome by the night express had had to stop until dawn at the small station of Fabriano in order to continue their journey by the small, old-fashioned local, joining the main line with Sulmona. At dawn, in a stuffy and smoky second-class carriage, in which 5 people had already spent the night, a bulky woman in deep mourning was hoisted in, almost like a shapeless bundle. Behind her, puffing and moaning, followed her husband, a tiny man, thin and weakly, his face death white, his eyes small and bright and looking shy and uneasy. And so this couple come into the train car, and space is made for them, and the husband thanks the passengers for making space and asks his wife if she's all right. And in response, she just pulls her collar up over her face, and he mutters, "Nasty world." And he felt it his duty to explain to his traveling companions that the poor woman was to be pitied. For the war was taking away from her her only son, a boy of 20, to whom both had devoted their entire life, even breaking up their home at Sulmona to follow him to Rome, where he had to go as a student, then allowing him to volunteer for war, with an assurance, however, that at least for 6 months he would not be sent to the front. And now, all of a sudden, receiving a wire saying that he was due to leave in 3 days' time and asking them to go and see him off. So we're in like 19 teens Italy, and not that Italy was unusual for this, but this is definitely a culture in which your sons are very important, especially like firstborn or only sons, right? Mm-hmm. This is a big deal. And it says, the woman under the big coat was twisting and wriggling, at times growling like a wild animal, feeling certain that all those explanations would not have aroused even a shadow of sympathy from those people who, most likely, were in the same plight as herself. One of them, who had been listening with particular attention, said, "You should thank God that your son is only leaving now for the front. Mine has been sent there since the first day of the war. He's already come back twice, wounded, and been sent back again to the front. What about me? I have 2 sons and 3 nephews at the front," said another passenger. "Maybe. But in our case, it is our only son," ventured the husband. "What difference can it make? You may spoil your only son with excessive attentions, but you cannot love him more than you would all your other children, if you had any. Paternal love is not like bread that can be broken into pieces and split amongst the children in equal shares. A father gives all his love to each one of his children without discrimination, whether it be 1 or 10. And if I am suffering now for my 2 sons, I am not suffering half for each of them, but double." "True," sighed the embarrassed husband. "But suppose, of course we all hope it will never be your case, suppose a father has 2 sons at the front, and he loses one of them. There is still one left to console him." "Yes," answered the other, getting cross. "A son left to console him, but also a son left for whom he must survive. While in the case of the father, of an only son, if the son dies, the father can die too, and put an end to his distress. Which of the 2 positions is the worse? Don't you see how my case would be worse than yours?" So, yes.
My flabbers are a little gasted. I don't understand the point so far.
Yeah, you've never had an argument
No.
in a train car about whether it's worse to have multiple children die
Just
one?
I wonder if the kids are doing the same argument in the plane. My dad loves me more. No, my dad loves me more. My dad could beat up your dad.
So we're in oh God, what do we call that online now? The Misery Olympics?
Oh, yeah. Oppression Olympics.
The Oppression Olympics. Yes.
Oppression Olympics. Beautiful.
So we're fighting to see, like, who has it worse?
Mm-hmm.
Is it worse to lose your only son or to have multiple sons and run the risk of losing more than one of them?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All we need now is for one of them to bring up their exact specific unfortunate scenario and why the other person they're arguing with didn't account for them in everything that they've ever said.
Well.
Oh, boy.
Another traveler interrupts, and he says, "Nonsense." And he's described as a fat, red-faced man with bloodshot eyes of the palest gray.
Why are they talking about me?
And he's panting. And it says, "From his bulging eyes seemed to spurt inner violence of an uncontrolled vitality which his weakened body could hardly contain." "Nonsense," he repeated, trying to cover his mouth with his hand so as to hide the 2 missing front teeth. "Nonsense. Do we give life to our children for our own benefit?" The other travelers stared at him in distress. The one who had had his son at the front since the first day of the war sighed. "You are right. Our children do not belong to us. They belong to the country." "Bosh!" retorted the fat traveler. "Do we think of the country when we give life to our children? Our sons are born because they must be born. And when they come to life, they take our own life with them. This is the truth. We belong to them, but they never belong to us. And when they reach 20, they are exactly what we were at their age. We, too, had a father and a mother. But there were so many other things as well. Girls, cigarettes, illusions, new ties. And the country, of course, whose call we would have answered when we were 20, even if father and mother had said no. Now at our age, the love of our country is still great, of course, but stronger than it is the love for our children. Is there any one of us here who wouldn't gladly take his son's place at the front if he could?" There was a silence all around, everybody nodding as to approve. "Why then," continued the fat man, "shouldn't we consider the feelings of our children when they are 20? Isn't it natural that at their age they should consider the love for their country even greater than the love for us? Isn't it natural that it should be so? As after all, they must look upon us as upon old boys who cannot move any more and must stay at home. If country exists," and I'd like to note here that Pirandello has capitalized country. If country exists, if country is a natural necessity, like bread, of which each of us must eat in order to not die of hunger, somebody must go defend it. And our sons go when they are 20, and they don't want tears, because if they die inflamed and happy. Now, if one dies young and happy, without having the ugly sides of life, the boredom of it, the pettiness, the bitterness, the disillusion, what more can we ask for him? Everyone should stop crying. Everyone should laugh, as I do. Or at least thank God as I do. Because my son, before dying, sent me a message saying he was dying satisfied at having ended his life in the best way he could have wished. That is why, you see, I do not even wear mourning."
Is it the end?
No. But what do you make of that?
That was not the big fat guy talking.
That was the fat guy who
who
interjected.
Okay.
And his argument here is that we shouldn't be sad if young men are going off to die for country.
Gotta be glad your children are dying for country.
Because they're young and they're happy to do it, and someone has to, right? If country must exist, then someone must die for it. And isn't it better for these young people to die while they're happy and before life has embittered them and disappointed them, right?
Bosh. I cannot believe that was like an old exclamation for like hogwash. They invented Big John Bosch before before Big John Bosch.
Bosh!
I love it.
It's very fun to say.
That is some very ham-fisted propaganda. Why is the deliverer of the ham-fisted propaganda described as so gross?
Well, should we find out?
Let's find out. Don't worry, listeners. I got you covered. I am you. I know your questions before you ask them.
As he points out, he says, "I'm not even wearing mourning." And it says, he shook out his light fawn coat as to show it. His livid lip over his missing teeth was trembling. His eyes were watery and motionless. And soon after, he ended with a shrill laugh, which might well have been a sob. "Quite so," agreed the others. The woman who, bundled in a corner under her coat, had been sitting and listening, had, for the last 3 months, tried to find in the words of her husband and her friends something to console her in her deep sorrow, something that might show her how a mother should resign herself to send her son not even to death, but to a probably dangerous life. Yet not a word had she found amongst the many which had been said, and her grief had been greater in seeing that nobody, she thought, could share her feelings. But now the words of the traveler amazed and almost stunned her. She suddenly realized that it wasn't the others who were wrong and could not understand her, but herself, who could not rise up to the same height of those fathers and mothers willing to resign themselves, without crying, not only to the departure of their sons, but even to their death. She lifted her head. She bent over from her corner, trying to listen with great attention to the details which the fat man was giving to his companions about the way his son had fallen as a hero for his king and his country, happy and without regrets. It seemed to her that she had stumbled into a world she had never dreamt of, a world so far unknown to her, and she was so pleased to hear everyone joining in congratulating that brave father who could so stoically speak of his child's death. Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think we have a
Yeah, totally.
Yeah?
Mhm.
All right.
I think rabid nationalism is good and correct. Just really good for your soul and mind and the populace at large. Yeah.
You ready for the thrilling conclusion?
Can't wait.
All right. Then suddenly, just as if she had heard nothing of what had been said, and almost as if waking up from a dream, she turned to the old man, asking him, "Then, is your son really dead?" Everybody stared at her. The old man, too, turned to look at her, fixing his great, bulging, horribly watery light gray eyes deep in her face. For some little time he tried to answer, but words failed him. He looked and looked at her, almost as if only then, at that silly, incongruous question, he had suddenly realized at last that his son was really dead, gone forever. Forever. His face contracted, became horribly distorted. Then he snatched in haste a handkerchief from his pocket, and to the amazement of everyone, broke into harrowing, heart-rending, uncontrollable sobs. The end.
Amazing.
So what do you think?
I don't really know.
Yeah?
To be quite honest. There's like there's a bit of, I mean, she's trying to make the point that your children live on immortal in their cause of dying for country, which
Right.
causes him to finally come to reality, which is making me think this story is not propaganda because he's got to reckon with his ideals.
Yeah, so he has succeeded in sweeping her up in the tide of emotion that he's carrying himself through with. And in the process, he finally experiences the cognitive dissonance that's been underpinning this the whole time. By coaching her into denial, he loses the ability to stay in denial himself. And to circle back to your question before about why he's described in such an off-putting way, one of the things I like about this story is that Pirandello was very, very interested in the gap between perception and reality. He wrote, like, a lot of what he wrote was like more modernist than this piece is, and played more with kind of flights of fancy. Like, not everything was quite as grounded. He wrote this story, unsurprisingly, when one of his sons was a prisoner of war in World War I.
Mm-hmm.
And his other son was drafted immediately following an operation, and they sent him into basic training when he had like half-healed surgical wounds. And Pirandello had to basically go extract him from basic training.
Come on, y'all. You still got sutures in.
Because World War I did not go well for Italy. And it's not like they were the only country doing this, but they were definitively... you know that tweet that still circulates about feeding cats to coyotes?
Yeah.
It's...
Italy and Russia throwing men at problems since like 300 BC.
Yeah, it was they were just feeding young men to machine guns.
Mm-hmm.
Austrian machine guns specifically.
Since the days of the Goths and the Steppe Raiders, man, they've been throwing men at problems for such a long time.
And they were billing it as Italy's fourth war of independence. So there was a lot of propaganda flying around. But what Pirandello is really underlining in this story with his physical descriptions of these people, in my opinion, is a of all, how ordinary they are, right? These are not heroic people. These are not particularly affluent or important people. They're normal, not very well off, faintly ridiculous people, because most people are not very attractive and faintly ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of us are not that pretty. Most of us are not the stuff of propaganda.
I've been plastered on a couple posters before.
Unlike, well, I mean, you specifically
Humble, too.
have been the subject of a lot of propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
But most people aren't like you, William. I hate to say it. I know you've had a great career posing for recruitment posters for the United States military.
Yeah. Look, I'm sorry to contribute, but the MAGA checks cashed. It's a lot of money, man.
You are that weird AI generated blonde man in the bad propaganda they keep circulating.
Yep. It's me. I'm sorry, everybody.
You are also AI generated.
I was invented by a computer.
Turns out you're not a people.
I will donate all of my earnings to Pol Pot's corpse.
What?
Don't worry about it.
Fair enough. But what struck me about this story, and one of the reasons that I teased it out, is like, on the one hand, it is a fairly straightforward wartime story of like, oh no, they've convinced us to feed our children into the woodchipper. This is bad, maybe. But this story in particular, unlike some of the World War I propaganda that we've already covered on the podcast from like England and from sort of different writers, from writers who are sort of at a different place on the spectrum between like romanticism and realism and modernism. This one to me was so evocative of the moment that we're in right now, where there is all of this violence happening, and it is just one step removed from our day-to-day experience, right? And it feels like none of us have the capacity to really metabolize what's happening. And so we're just kind of going through the day being like, this is normal and fine, actually.
It's totally normal to watch brown people explode on your tiny little screen every day.
And then you have these moments where somebody asks you like a fairly straightforward question, and all of a sudden you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Those reckonings are tough, man. It's real tough. You get real drunk and start thinking about the people they're bombing, and it makes you real sad.
Yeah, all of those schoolgirls
Yep.
are dead now.
Yep.
And we're in a train car feeding our children to it.
Putting our tax dollars to work.
And that's...
Have you seen the lady that's withholding her tax return?
Oh.
She's a lawyer. And she filed her taxes, but did not send them.
Is not paying.
She's not paying her federal taxes. She set aside the money in a high yield savings account, and it's like ready to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
I forget. There's some sort of thing you file when you choose not to pay your taxes, and she has filed that, and you'll get penalties for it. But she's like, guys, I'm a lawyer. I know what I'm doing. I know what the penalties are, and it's worth.
Good for her.
Exactly. Good for her. Good for her. So, I'm sure our listeners. I saw this on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you could find her account very easily by searching lawyer tax return. So give it a try. Don't give the IRS your money, listeners.
Yeah. I mean, don't. That's not legal advice that we're giving.
Yeah.
Please don't hold me liable for that.
Yeah. No, this is direct advice from the Didn't Read It podcast. Do not send the IRS your money.
No, that's not. I didn't bring you here to make a different kind of propaganda.
Oh God, it's so bleak.
But I mean, what do you make of it? You know, this story is from like 1915 or so.
Yeah.
So it's 110 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, what do you make of this notion of, you know, what does he say? If country exists, if country is a natural necessity like bread, of which each of us must eat in order to not to die of hunger, somebody must go defend it. That jumps out at me because I can't think of anything. Again, like in the first season of the podcast, we did a little bit of like a tour of World War I literature from the English perspective. And what I never saw in any of those was any English author being like, even hinting at the notion of like, I don't know, is country a necessity? Like, I don't know. Do we need to feed children into the woodchipper in order for country to exist? And I feel like that probably comes more naturally to an Italian writer for whom Italian unification was like 10 minutes ago.
Mm. Yeah, so, I'm sorry, I'm a little dumb today. No, you have not found any English authors that were like, hey, this is kind of bad?
There were English authors. Plenty of English authors were like, the war is bad and nonsensical.
But like none of them were willing to give up patriotism or that was the nationalism was a foregone conclusion.
What I never saw was anyone questioning whether like England itself was a necessity. Does that make sense? Like, because the question this character is asking, what's coming out of this character's mouth in the throes of all of this propaganda is, well, we all take it for granted that country is a necessity and that country is so necessary that we must think of it as bread that we eat or we starve.
Mm.
And if that is the case, then someone has to die for it. And I don't know, is it?
Was Luigi an anarchist, perhaps?
So he took a really interesting... my instinct is to say that he wasn't an anythingist. He was a member of the bourgeoisie whose political feelings directly reflected whatever he was experiencing at the moment.
Yep.
Because he became a socialist as a university student and became a fascist as an old man.
Bosh.
But that doesn't mean that at this particular moment he wasn't prompted into asking some big toothsome questions by his own distress. Because let's be honest, most of us are quite small-minded at the end of the day, and most of us only ask big questions when we're under the kind of pressure that makes us ask them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I immediately go down the thought path of like there is so much media that is served to us from the second we can begin to understand it, that makes you understand that the United States of America has always existed, will always exist, and you know?
Yes.
It is such a firm help me out here. It is just beat into you.
It is the sun around which the solar system revolves,
Yeah.
right? Like it is the fundamental truth from which all other truths spring.
Yeah. I'm remembering like scenes from cartoons that I can remember vividly of like a guy in a suit doing something stupid in the context of the show, but the idea is that like somebody from the United States is always watching or like
yeah.
I don't know, there's an underlying idea that I'm not quite getting to here that's just like it's always there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's the very air we breathe. And I think I gravitated toward this story because like contemporary American life is the train car that we're all sitting in, debating about the relative weight of losing our children.
Yeah.
As our children are fed into the woodchipper by our own government.
Literally, yes.
And I don't quite know what to do with it, except to find it poignant that someone else had this feeling before. I don't know.
This is hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Not in like it's emotionally impactful in this moment, but these are difficult conceptual ideas to grapple with.
They are. This is harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Which is okay.
And it's funny because when I was reading the story, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. We're just going to talk about like TikTok and the internet and propaganda.
Yeah. This is not part of the story at all, but there's an image that I can't get out of my head, which is all of us with these nice old Italian people in this train car. But the windows of the train are phone screens, just constantly emblazoned with, the nice Italian man in his train window. He sees an old timey, Italian fascist poster.
Sure.
And
yeah.
as you move forward in train cars, your propaganda gets more and more modern.
Oh yeah.
And we're in the train car debating who's got it worse for I don't know. I'm bitching about my mortgage and my property taxes and while my train car screen is showing me images of people exploding every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that like, is it snow? It's snowing.
Uh-huh. Happy March, baby. Oh my God, yesterday it was sunny and today it's snowing? Holy shit, the weather changes so much.
That is weird and I will die on this hill. I think the thing that keeps me circling back around to this story is that everything feels so fake right now. Like in 2026, everything feels so far away because it's all happening through your phone until it's happening to you. But it completely robs us of this sense of urgency. Like it like a bunch of old Italians being fed propaganda far, far away from the front, we're being robbed of any sense of urgency or even a sense of the reality of the losses we're experiencing, because everything has been put at so much of a remove. You know? Like, it feels like everything that happens through your phone is kind of fake.
Mm-hmm. And every part of that concept has an element of removal, because the guy operating the drone is using an Xbox controller in a data center in Arlington, Virginia, to drive his drone around Iran and blow up school buildings.
Uh-huh.
And the people recording it are uploading it to be spread all over the place, but by the time you see it, it might be second or third hand.
Yeah.
And it'll have some idiot's face emblazoned on the front reacting to it.
And human beings aren't even choosing the targets anymore. They're doing it with AI, and they're not even checking their work. We've robbed it of anything resembling reality because people keep realizing that there's no good reason to feed a bunch of children into a wood chipper. And every time they realize that, we put another layer between them and realizing what's happening.
Yeah. We've reconstructed the wood chipper to be facing out, and it's now the front of the trolley in the trolley problem, except there's only one track and you can only watch.
We keep building the torment nexus while renaming the torment nexus.
It feels so bad to laugh about this.
Well, and I mean, I don't really have an answer, except that, like, we already knew this was bad.
Yeah. Yeah. We have for a very long time.
100 some odd years.
Way more than that.
Yep.
Way more than that.
Way more than that.
Way more than that. There were Chinese philosophers that said something along the lines of, do we have to do mass murder every 20, 30 years?
Do we have to feed the children to country?
What if we didn't build the torment nexus? What if we stopped? I don't know, man. It's so bleak. Another hard left turn. When was Luigi alive?
So he was born in the 60s? He died in like 19. All right, let me just.
Oh, okay. So he was
like a fully grown adult by this point.
Like a retiree by the time of World War One.
Yeah, because he had adult sons who were serving. He was born in 1867 and he died in 1936.
Feeding my large adult sons to the wood chipper.
Yes, to the wood chipper of the Italian-Austrian front.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I bet they didn't get Dodge Chargers with their sign-on packages.
No, just.
I think they got like a model.
Just
Model
TB.
T. Oh, a model tuberculosis.
By the end of the war, Luigi and both of his sons had all contracted TB.
God, it's insane to me how tuberculosis is fascinating. Watch John Green's video about tuberculosis.
Luigi's entire life, especially during World War I, is a good reminder that, like, people just used to get sick all the time. And maybe you survived and maybe you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was reading his biography, and while he was waiting for his one son to come home from the prisoner of war camp, he, his wife, and his other son all got the Spanish flu.
Can't catch a break, man.
And then he and his son also got TB, and it was like, everyone was so sick all the time.
Guys, the inside of the wood chipper is very dirty. Can we clean this?
And it does, like, make you realize how blessed we are to have vaccines, antibiotics, and contemporary germ theory.
Healthcare that we can't afford.
Well,
because we're too busy drone striking children in schools.
That too. Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite full circle moment today.
Oh.
I wish I knew more history about how propaganda has evolved from the days of, flyers and radio broadcasts to television, and now it's so insidious. Like, the army not only pays for ads to show up on YouTube and Twitch, but they host like video game streams from recruiters to game and talk about the army. And they're not even doing active recruiting, but it's just normalizing that this person who wants you to join the army is cool and fun.
Yeah.
And
He's your friend.
He's your friend.
And he won't lie to you.
Right.
He definitely won't lie to you.
No, of course not.
No.
Of course not. Oh my God, there's so much propaganda on TikTok. It's nuts. And oh my God, here's one I saw the other day that was crazy. Jon Stewart, who I always took as a relatively, I don't want to say straight shooter, but like he's obviously he's moderate. Like he's he's not gonna agree with those of us who are way down the left spectrum. But he was joking about the severity of Iranian retaliation in the recent the recent goings on, in a way that was like, oh, you're just part of the apparatus here.
Oh no.
It was gross. Something along, his joke was that Iran's just attacking everybody and it's like, yeah,
Yes.
duh.
That's the tactic.
It's not
They
funny.
weren't. That wasn't a secret.
Yeah.
They called it. What did they call it? It was the Madman. The name for it was like the Madman Plan or the Madman something. It was like they had.
Oh, the name of the operation?
Yes.
It's Operation Epic Fury.
No. Ours is Operation Epic Fury.
Oh, yeah.
Theirs
Sorry.
was like, it was called like, they were calling it like the Madman Contingency or something.
Right.
And it was, if Khomeini was killed, they were going to attack basically everybody.
Right.
And they called it the Madman Plan because the point was to make the consequences of killing him severe for everyone.
Right.
Which they then did. But it's not like silly.
Yeah. And call me naive, but I just didn't expect Jon Stewart to be part of that kind of apparatus.
Well, like, here's a question for you. That brand of mid-2000s joke news is just as bad as more obvious propaganda, maybe.
Or worse.
Like,
Or worse.
because I cannot help but wonder if that sort of teehee perspective isn't part of what makes all of this palatable, right? It doesn't have the exact same effect of putting us all in the train car debating about who has it worse.
Absolutely it does. It's another method of removal from the consequences and reality of events.
And that's what this story is doing, right? Like, he makes these people ridiculous. They are the story is laughing at them on a certain level.
Right.
They are absurd. They are objects of humor. And you, the reader, are being invited at the beginning of the story to laugh at them, which then makes what they're experiencing more palatable. You're being invited not to feel the depth of a very real and tragic loss, right? These people are talking about the potential deaths of their children, and you're being invited to laugh at them until the very end, right? When he pulls away that layer of irony and forces you to sit with the reality of this man's loss and the potential losses of all the people around him.
Yep. Oh God. I hope I'm doing my job as the terminally online correspondent well enough. There was an interview with a woman that I saw on one of the mainstream news networks that was something along the lines of her son had died in the Iraq War, and she was happy that Donald Trump had decided to bomb Iran again because it made her son's death worth it.
No, it didn't.
And that was so sad to me.
What?
In that, like, I wanted to laugh, and I could not remove my frown. I was so upset for this woman that she has been so thoroughly fooled about the death of her son.
That's so bleak.
And that has been on my mind since we started reading this story.
Yeah.
And it feels like exactly what these people are experiencing.
Yeah. I mean, she's the guy.
She's the guy. She is the guy. And if the rug pull ever happens for her, I hope she's able to find some sort of solace that isn't just violent nationalism.
Yeah. And that's what's so tragic, too, is like justifying feeding the children to the woodchipper with more violence is not good.
Nope.
It's bad. It's bad, actually.
Yep.
I don't know what so you asked about, like, or you brought up the ways in which propaganda has kind of evolved. And one of the things that you can either find really depressing or weirdly hopeful is how much more sophisticated propaganda has had to become in order to be effective, right? Like, you know, this idea that contemporary propaganda is sort of like betraying the principles of objective journalism that we used to have, right? That idea of objective, quote unquote, objective journalism that we could like trust lasted about 10 minutes, right? Like, that is not how journalism used to work. That is not how it worked in the First World War. It's not really how it worked in the Second World War. I mean, kind of. But all of the news was controlled by the state, right? There's the whole thing. I mean, not long after this story is written, right, when the fascists come to power in Italy, you know, there's the whole the white supremacist dog whistle about the trains running on time is a reference to Mussolini getting the trains to run on time. That was the big thing that he promised.
Which he didn't do.
He did not. What he did was he made it illegal to say that the trains weren't running on time. Because they controlled all the newspapers.
Yep. And it worked.
The
propaganda, that is, not the trains, obviously.
Yes. But
it's incredibly funny.
With every passing generation...
Can't really do that anymore because there's 12 idiots with their cell phones recording the trains running not on time anymore.
Exactly. With every passing generation, the propaganda has had to get...
I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. 12 heroes doing on the ground journalism. Sorry.
Yes.
Continue.
Exactly. Well, it's 6 heroes and 6 idiots.
No, see, the train's only 35 minutes late. It's perfectly serviceable. Those are the 6 idiots, and the 6 heroes are recording them saying, "What are you talking about?"
And one of them is making a video about how the trains are fake, actually, and being controlled by the reptilians.
I was going straight to lizard people. I'm so glad you met me there. We're Arnold handshaking over the lizard people.
It's 6 heroes, 5 propagandists, and 1 lizard person believer. And unfortunately, they are all posting to the same platform. And which one your algorithm shows you is a concerning problem.
Oh, dude, the ability. No, hold on. I gotta hold on to that one. We were on a good tangent.
But I mean, basically, I guess what I'm saying is that, like, the media has had to work harder. The wealthy have had to spend more money, and they have had to go to ever greater lengths to control the narrative, and the narrative seems to keep getting away from them eventually, no matter how hard they try. And that is heartening.
It is. Here's my bleakest thought for today. Your power bill is subsidizing the AI data center in your backyard that is using your water to power the algorithm that serves you the content that is chosen for you by the people in power who are murdering people.
Who are trying to feed
just like
your
you.
child into the wood chipper.
There we go. Thank you. I needed that last bit there. Who are trying to feed your children into the wood chipper.
Yeah. And you know what? Luigi Pirandello, the moment his children were no longer in danger from the war that his country should not have been participating in, became a fascist and a nationalist. Yeah. Because even very clever people get carried away by their own self-interest.
Mm-hmm. That was my bleakest thought for the cast. My most hopeful thought, and again, this is prescriptive advice, audience. You can bomb a data center. I will show you how.
Didn't read it the podcast.
Don't pay your taxes and bomb a data center.
Is not telling you to do either of those things. Didn't read it the podcast is not a source of legal advice, and we are not advocating the bombing of data centers.
Bosh.
Well, William.
Grace.
Any final thoughts on propaganda, Italian stories, or I don't know?
See, the second you introduced this, I knew this motherfucker was going to become a fascist because he's Italian.
Continuing my podcast's completely unprovoked war on Italians, just across the board. We have one friend of the podcast and listener who has been on before, Jess Camilli, very talented artist, who just so happens to be of Italian descent. And the text messages that I get.
Jess, I'm so sorry. I have nothing against you. Absolutely nothing.
About the casual Italy slander.
I contain endless hate for Italians until the most minor piece of pushback, and I will walk it all back so quick.
So it's
completely boundless. I'm so sorry.
It's a very nice place.
It is. I'd love to live there.
Countless contributions to literature and history.
None of which are tomato sauce, actually. Tomatoes are not native to Italy.
No, they are a new world crop. And I think we'll be visiting Luigi Pirandello again. He's a very interesting man, and despite becoming a fascist, he did die in 1936, so it's not like he was around for World War II. Yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts on the gap between perception and reality?
Please vet the things that you consume on social media.
Or consider not consuming things on social media. Consider walking away from social media entirely.
I'm not going to go that far. No, yeah, you know what? Delete your phone. Hit your Facebook. Hire a gym.
Nuke your Facebook. Get a dumb phone. I get closer to that every day. All right, William.
Grace.
Thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
I'm very grateful for your continued presence here on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so sorry this was such a ramble, but we got there in the end.
I think it was great. And thank all of you for joining us. We're really happy to have you here, especially in these strange and trying times. I know that we are still only posting once a month, but we're all in this together. We're getting through. We're at war. Things are weird.
In order to not be part of the wartime propaganda apparatus, this is not a war. It is a what do we call it? A massacre?
Sure.
Calling it a war implies that it's even and
sure.
There was a declaration.
Yeah.
This is
war were not declared.
Unsupported violence on an unsuspecting populace.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're at murder.
We're at murder. And, you know, I think we'll probably do some more war literature because I think it has a lot to teach us. And unsurprisingly, there's nothing new under the sun in a lot of ways. So, yeah, we'll see you soon. And in the meantime, if you can, especially in these trying times, especially as the data centers consume all of our natural resources and bomb schools full of children, consider supporting authors, artists, musicians, people who make things, people who make beautiful things, because they could really, really use the love. Bye.
Bye.
Didn't Read It was created, written, researched, and recorded by me, Grace Todd. Maddie Wood is our co-producer and social media maven. Our theme song is Books 2.0, written, performed, and recorded by William Albritton. Our logo was designed and illustrated by the incredibly talented Jess Versus. Special thanks to Black Iris Social Club in Richmond, Virginia. Reach out to us with questions, concerns, or academic scrutiny at didntreaditpod@gmail.com.